Tonight on Capitol Hill, the fight over America's Homeland Security took center stage, and it was anything but routine. What began as a standard confirmation hearing for Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem quickly turned into a sharp rebuke of the Trump administration's approach to law enforcement, constitutional authority, and the future of the Department of Homeland Security.
Let's resecure our homeland. I now recognize the ranking member for an opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Madam Secretary, to the hearing. Mr. Chairman, before we begin, I want to recognize National Police Week and thank the officers who protect our communities, this Capitol, and our country honorably and ably. We appreciate their service. As we observe National Police Week, I again call on the Speaker to follow the law and finally hang the plaque honoring those brave officers who defended the United States Capitol from a violent mob on January 6th. Over 140 law enforcement officers were assaulted that day, and honoring their bravery and sacrifice, as promised, is the least Congress can do. Turning to today's hearing, I'm glad Secretary Noem is finally testifying before the committee. After all, it's been 3 months since I sent you a letter asking for her to testify on the Trump administration's dismantling of the Department of Homeland Security and its harmful effects on communities across the country. Secretary Noem, I guess the chairman didn't think systematically dismantling the Department of Homeland Security, firing the federal workers who keep us safe, and violating the Constitution of the United States justified your timely appearance before this committee. But when Donald Trump demanded that Congress hand him money to do more damage to our Homeland Security, Republicans bent over backwards to help him and his billionaire friends at the expense of the American people. Whatever got you here, Secretary Noem, I'm glad you found time among your many photo ops and costume changes to testify about why President Trump is seeking more taxpayer dollars and what you plan to do with that money if you get it. And it is a lot of money. We're talking about $176 billion. That's how much President Trump has demanded that Congress give you to spend next year. Never mind the fact that your department is spending taxpayers' money so fast this year, you're about to be broke. Now you're saying you need $44 billion more, but all you've done is slash, burn, cut, dismantle, and tear apart DHS since you got here. You cut programs at the Federal Emergency Management Agency that help Americans prepare for and recover from disasters. You are unlawfully withholding grant money meant to prevent terrorism and respond to emergencies from local communities across the country. You cut programs at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, which prevents attacks on power lines, water treatment plants, schools, hospitals, and other critical infrastructure. You cut the number of transportation security officers in our airplanes. You cut the Office of Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, which keeps DHS from digging into Americans' private lives and violating people's constitutional rights. You are making Americans less safe. If you're cutting the things that help keep America safe, why should we give you an extra $44 billion? Is it to deport American citizen children with cancer? Is it to deport more veterans of the United States military? Is it to ignore the Supreme Court's order to facilitate the release of a lawful permanent resident you mistakenly shipped off to a foreign prison? Is it to punish people for exercising their First Amendment right? Is it to disappear more people off our streets with no due process and ship them to a foreign dictator's prison? Is it to fire more military veterans who continue to serve their country by working for DHS? Is it to slash efforts to fight persistent threats from foreign terrorist organizations and domestic terrorists? Is it to dismantle FEMA as hurricane season is about to get underway? Is it to decimate CISA and invite China, Russia, Iran, and other adversaries into our cyber networks? Is it just to be mean, threaten, and deny due process to vulnerable people? These are not hypotheticals. These are things that DHS has already done under your leadership or is trying to do, Secretary Noem. Your policies and actions are so bad that Republican members have been running and hiding from their own constituents, refusing to hold town halls because they know they cannot defend this administration. Republicans are unwilling to defend the Trump administration with the folks back home. So I guess it's down to you to try to do that here today. But you can't defend the indefensible, Secretary Noem. Your department is out of control. On your watch, the department is breaking the law, it's hurting people, and it's making America less safe. The Trump administration is outright lying to the courts and the American people. Just last week, 3 members from New Jersey, all current members or former members of this committee, tried to visit an ICE detention center, which they are permitted to do, as you know, by law without notice, to conduct oversight after reports of issues at the facility. Instead of following the law, masked ICE personnel stopped and assaulted the members. Then, to make matters worse, instead of launching an investigation into the incident, your department lied to the press about the situation and threatened to arrest members of Congress for doing their job. Absolutely outrageous. It's a sad day for the Department of Homeland Security. Frankly, I've never seen anything like it, and I've served as the lead Democrat on this committee from its start. Even when the Secretary, my Republican colleagues, and I had strong disagreements, we still had productive conversations and did our duty to keep America safe. But that's not the case any longer. My colleagues across the aisle have sold their souls, or at least their spines, to Donald Trump. They try to cover the administration lies and blame Democrats for doing the job our constituents sent us here to do. Republicans have forgotten that Congress is a co-equal branch of government and that the oath we take to the Constitution is the same as the president. Republicans even want to cut Medicaid to fund tax breaks for millionaires. They put their billionaire buddies over the little guys every chance they get. And now you are here, Secretary Noem, with your hand out, looking for more taxpayer money to continue the slash and burn activities of the Department of Homeland Security over the past 100 or so days. Until the Trump administration starts following the law, that's going to be a very, very hard sell. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Other members of the committee are reminded that opening statements may be submitted for the record. I'm pleased to have the Secretary of Homeland Security before us today.
If you want clear, in-depth breakdowns of what these hearings really mean, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss our coverage. As the gavel came down, the ranking member opened by tying the moment to National Police Week, a symbolic move that immediately framed the stakes. Law enforcement officers were praised for protecting communities, the Capitol, and the country, but that praise was paired with a pointed reminder. More than 140 officers were assaulted during the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, and lawmakers are still demanding that Congress follow through on its promise to formally honor those officers. This was not just ceremonial commentary. It was a deliberate signal that accountability, memory, and respect for law enforcement remain unresolved political battles. And that brings us to why this hearing mattered so much. Secretary Noem's appearance before the committee was long delayed, nearly 3 months after lawmakers formally requested her testimony. That delay itself became part of the story. Oversight is one of Congress's core responsibilities, and when cabinet officials do not appear in a timely manner, it raises concerns about transparency and respect for democratic checks and balances. If you value clear explanations of how government oversight actually works, take a moment to subscribe so you can keep learning with us. The ranking member then widened the lens. This was not just about one hearing or one delay. It was about what critics describe as a systematic dismantling of the Department of Homeland Security. DHS was created after 9/11 to coordinate border security, counterterrorism, disaster response, and cybersecurity. When lawmakers talk about dismantling DHS, they are warning about the ripple effects: fewer experienced federal workers, weaker coordination between agencies, and increased risks to everyday communities. These are not abstract concerns. DHS decisions affect airport security, immigration enforcement, emergency response during hurricanes, and even protection against cyber attacks. Another major issue raised was the firing of federal workers. Career civil servants are often the institutional memory of agencies like DHS. When they are removed en masse, critics argue that expertise is lost and political loyalty can replace professional competence. Supporters of the administration may frame this as reform or accountability, but opponents see it as destabilization. Understanding this tension is key to understanding why this hearing was so heated. So if this kind of deep context is useful to you, don't forget to subscribe. Perhaps the most serious accusation came next: alleged violations of the U.S. Constitution. That is not language lawmakers use lightly. It signals concerns about executive overreach, due process, and the rule of law. In the context of Homeland Security, constitutional questions often involve surveillance, immigration enforcement, detention authority, and the balance between national security and civil liberties. These debates go to the heart of what kind of country the United States wants to be: secure but free, or secure at the cost of fundamental rights. What makes this moment especially important is timing. National Police Week, ongoing debates about January 6th, and a delayed cabinet testimony all converged in one hearing. The result was a broader conversation about trust: trust in institutions, trust in leadership, and trust that the laws apply equally to everyone. That is why hearings like this are not just political theater. They are moments where lawmakers try to define the values guiding national policy. As this hearing continues, expect sharper questions, stronger defenses, and deeper divisions. We will be here to break it all down, connect the dots, and explain what it really means for you and your community. If you want informed, human-centered analysis that goes beyond the headlines, make sure you subscribe now and stay with us for the next segment.